guitar people. Welcome to Have Guitar Will Travel, presented by Vintage Guitar Magazine. With your host, me, James Patrick Regan, otherwise known as Jimmy from the Deadlies. And today I'm speaking with guitarist and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame member, Phil Manzanera from Roxy Music. In our conversation, Phil talks a little bit about where he lives in Sussex in England, and his neighbors, David Gilmore and Bill Bruford. And he talks guitars, particularly his Gibson Firebird VII, and what he's using for amps back in the day and now, and the guitar he's still craving. Phil tells us a little bit about his book, 50 Years of Music, and what he's using for gear on the book tour and where to get the self-published book. Phil describes growing up in Havana, Cuba during the revolution and learning the guitar amongst the chaos. He also describes living in Hawaii just as it became a state and how that inspired a song, Hula Kula, for Roxy Music. Phil describes playing through a high-watt amp while Brian Ferry was singing in Roxy Music, and Phil tells us about how he ended up in England and how he befriended David Gilmore, and he dispels the rumors that he joined Roxy Music initially as a guitar tech. Phil describes being ahead of his time, or at least being on the cutting edge of fashion and musical trends, and how everyone from Roxy Music at this advanced age are still making music, and he describes what being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame means to him and the band. And finally, Phil tells us about still playing nylon string guitar, mostly to his grandchildren. You can find out all you want to know about Phil and where he's playing at his website, manzanera.com. That's MANZANERA.com. Please subscribe, like, comment, share, and most of all, review this podcast. I really appreciate it. And please support Vintage Guitar Magazine and all the wonderful things they do for us guitar players, because you know what? They do so many wonderful things for us guitar players. Here's my friend Phil. Good morning, Phil.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
I'm good, thanks. Whereabouts are you?
I am in Napa, California, in the U.S.
Wow, amazing.
Well, I don't know if that's amazing. Well, where are you?
I'm in a place called, it's a county called West Sussex, about 1.5 hours south of London, about half an hour from the coast. I'm in my garden in this room where I do a lot of guitaring.
Okay.
And my next door neighbor is David Gilmore.
Oh, wow.
And about 10 minutes away is Brian Ferry.
Oh, wow.
And minutes that way is Mike Rutherford. So a lot of musicians live around here.
Yeah. Is it very rural?
Yeah. And Bill Bruford lives near here as well. So, yeah.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you still have your Gibson Firebird VII?
I do, but it's up at my studio in London.
Okay.
And I had it valued recently because I hadn't bothered, and I just, and so I took it out on the road on the last Roxy tour when we came and played in America 2 years ago when it was the farewell tour, and I realized that I shouldn't really take it anywhere. I should just keep it in the studio because if it got broken or lost or anything, it's irreplaceable.
Certainly.
So I know where it is. I have a camera on it up in London.
Do you have duplicates of it? More modern versions?
Actually, I do have one. The Gibson tried to make a copy about 15 years ago, but I wasn't happy, and the whole Gibson infrastructure changed. But funny enough, I was playing at the Gibson garage here and I noticed they do have a 2 pickup version.
Oh yeah,
the Red Firebird.
Yes.
And I saw it on the wall in the green room.
Okay.
And but not the Firebird VII.
Yeah.
And I guess I understand that there most of the people want Les Pauls. So the Firebird wasn't that popular, but it's been my signature guitar for 50 years now. And it records beautifully. It loves analog tape.
Oh, wow.
It just records beautifully,
And what turned you on to the Firebird in the beginning? What made you choose that guitar? Was it Brian Jones, or did you? No,
I'll tell you what it was. When I was 9 or 10, I had managed to get myself a Hofner Galaxy, a red Hofner Galaxy. So I'd always loved red guitars. And I saw this guitar advertised in the back of a music newspaper called the Melody Maker. There was no picture or anything. It just said Firebird guitar, Gibson Firebird guitar for sale. I had no idea. I'd seen the brown ones and
Sure.
things, Clapton and Brian Jones and stuff. So I went along to this house in a very posh place off Regent's Park, and the door opened. It was an American college kid who'd moved with his parents to London from Kalamazoo, and they had bought him this red custom Firebird guitar for his 16th birthday, and he obviously didn't want it, and he just lifted it up. That's the first time I saw it. I saw a red guitar. I think, yeah, I'll buy it. I think it was £120, which is $150 or something.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, I'll have it. I didn't even plug it in or anything. I said, yeah, that's great, thank you. He closed the door. I gave him the money and walked off. I had no intention of. It was a red one. But when I got home, I thought, Jesus, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I had no idea what it sounded like, and then it was just like a bonus. That it just sounded great.
Yeah. And Gibson hasn't approached you about doing a signature Firebird for you?
Well, as I said, they did 15 years ago. They gave up.
Oh, okay.
There's probably a different bunch of people, but it was very difficult because I've got. It is difficult to make to get sound because you're not allowed to use the metal that's in the original pickups. You're not allowed to. I'll tell you a story. When we got inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I thought, well, I'll lend them my red Firebird to have in their museum, in Cleveland. And so we were getting it all ready to send, and they said, well, you need an import license for it, and it got turned down.
Oh, my goodness.
Made in Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
This is all illegal now. The whole of that guitar is illegal. It's not coming back into America.
Wow. That's crazy.
Well, yeah, it's amazing, but hey.
What were you using for amps back in the day? And what do you use for amps now?
Well, I was using, at that time, I used a high watt.
Okay.
So actually modified. I used to have it scaled down, so like a 30 watt switch on it.
Okay.
It was a 60 watt, and you had the special sort of switch limiting thing on it, and really, a 4x12 cabinet. It wasn't a high watt cabinet. They were like Fane speakers and things like that. But I still got it.
Uh-huh.
The ones actually that the Floyd used, the Gilmore.
Sure.
All those people. But then obviously I did have something called a Pete Cornish pedal board when he first started. This guy called Pete Cornish, which, Floyd had and everyone has now.
Yeah.
And there was very little gear that you could buy then. Anyway, so basically it's a fuzz unit and an echo unit.
Sure.
And I used what was unique with me and Eno. So we used Revox tape recorders for our echo.
Oh wow.
Which had a very pitch thing. So you change the time of the echo with the speed of the motor of the tape.
Yeah.
Yes, I still have, yeah.
Oh, right on. And what are you using for amps these days?
Okay, so on the Roxy tour, a couple of years ago, I decided to see what the state of art was for the latest stuff and get a rig that would be the latest thing for like arena tour. So I researched it for ages, and in fact, I did a video. There's a video of me doing the whole research up on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
Trying to do, and ended up with a combination system where I had a speaker in a box off stage.
Okay.
Which was a 12-inch speaker with a mic inside a flight case type thing.
Yeah.
And then on stage I had a tiny, beautiful little Fender amp, and I had an amazing pedal board built by Dan, the pedal board man, from the workshop, which all the guys, Radiohead, you name it, all the guys have him. It's an Australian guy who's just fantastic, with assortment of stuff on it. And I also had this ability to link up with my guitar tech off stage, so he could control things from there and vice versa. And we had like a radio mic so we could speak to each other.
Oh, wow.
And if I did something silly like keep my wah-wah pedal on all the time, he'd say, Phil, turn your wah-wah pedal off. See, well, I am almost 70 and you're like 24. So you got the wrong pedal on. Turn the right pedal on. Nobody knew. It was wonderful. So I had to stay to. But should I tell you something that I use now when I do my book talks and things?
Sure.
I just try and find the smallest system I could possibly take with me anywhere in the world, and I have a Spark amp, a little Spark amp. I don't know if you know.
I've heard the name, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
In fact, Steve Vai liked so much, there's a special Steve Vai version of it. He's a custom one.
Yeah.
But it is absolutely fantastic, and it's all run from an app on here via Bluetooth.
Okay.
I mean, I was the most skeptical person about this kind of shit.
Yeah.
But it sounds fantastic.
Right on.
It's unbelievable. That big. It comes out of the headphones into a stage box, and goes through the PA. It goes through my wage. I mean, I wouldn't be saying this if I didn't think it really was fantastic.
Sure. Yeah.
So I've gone from like this mega system to the smallest possible system available.
And what does your guitar collection look like? I can see there's a Flying V right behind you, and I see a flat top back there.
Yeah, I mean that guitar at the back, actually, there is the guitar my mum started teaching me to play guitar in Cuba.
Oh,
in
wow.
1950s.
Wow.
It's a Cuban Spanish guitar. So yeah, down here I have these two, and I have like a Strat. Yeah, but up in town I have like the bigger collection of stuff. Everything from Rickenbacker 12 strings to reverse Firebirds to Strats to 51 Telecaster. Some choice stuff which I do use a lot because they just sound amazing. They play themselves.
Sure. And are there guitars that you're still searching out, or are you good?
Yeah, if I was like craving after another guitar, or having said that, I wouldn't mind an SG.
Oh, really?
And because I was at the Gibson shop the other day, and I could see them all on the wall, and thought, I've never had an SG. That would. But I mustn't. I mustn't indulge. I need to use what I've got and just stay in my lane. Best by guitars. Complete guitar bore.
What about amps? Do you collect amps as well, or are you just using the Spark?
No, I mean, up at the studio, I've got, a Gibson Les Paul amp, the one that the Beatles used in the Cavern Club.
Wow.
I've got twin reverb. I've got the pro reverbs. I've got all sorts of. Got some Marshall heads. I've got some interesting new British valve amps that I used as part of my big setup on the tour. I've got a whole range of different things. Yeah, I mean, it's mix and match, for different things, for different recording scenarios and stuff like that.
Sure. And you mentioned the book tour. Do you bring a full band with you, or are you just playing solo over tracks, or how does that work?
So, yeah, what happens on the book where I do, have conversations about what's in the book, and then, what I've done is I've taken the original backing tracks and taken off the guitar, say it's an instrumental like Diamond Head, and I play the top line.
Yeah.
But then I have Paul Thompson on drums, I have Eddie Jobson on keyboards, I have John Wetton on bass.
Wow.
Rest is the soul,
Yeah.
And then I do one sort of Latin American type number, and then I made a special 10-minute mashup tape, which includes lots of Roxy tracks and things like that, as well as the riff that I used in that was used in the No Church in the Wild and stuff like that. And and I made up this 10-minute take, and I have a little competition where I say to the people, if you can guess where the 10 riffs are from, win a prize. We have a bit of a laugh about that. Put your hand up at the end. Okay, you 5 out of 10. Sorry. The next one,
Yeah.
And some people have guessed it, which is great. I said, wow, okay. But and I play along to the stuff. So it shows me, close up noodling. So
So it's
you get
very intimate.
Noodling. Yeah, it's very intimate. Yeah.
Right on. That's great. And you mentioned Havana. So you grew up in Havana?
I was brought up in Havana during the revolution.
Wow.
Just before and just after the revolution. I had to leave. As a lot of foreigners had to leave. There were gun battles from our house and stuff like that. It's all in the book. And if you've ever seen The Godfather 2, there's a scene of that night, New Year's Eve, 1958, going to 59, and what happened that night. And if you had a drone and you went up from the presidential palace where they filmed the sort of a thing where the dictator's told that Castro's coming, it's got a scarpa, and you went like 4 miles to the right, you'd see a gun battle going on from our garden.
Wow.
We lived opposite the chief of staff of the dictator, Batista.
Wow.
And so at his house, it was pretty hairy, Yeah. My mother screaming, she's Colombian. My British father, I don't know where he was. We think he was a spy, a British spy. It goes on. It's all in the book.
Yeah, right on.
But yeah, she started teaching me, so for me, it wasn't Burt Wheaton playing a day, like a lot of British guitarists from the 60s. You ask them and they say, well, I've got Burt Wheaton's Playing a Day book. For me, it was like boleros and son cubano and stuff like that, and traditional evergreen songs from South America, which are in my brain, keep coming back, given margaritas and things. So I'll start, singing, playing.
Was there a lot of music in Cuba before the revolution? Was there a lot of music just everywhere?
Yeah, because as a child, I was taken to these famous clubs, the Tropicana Club, and there you had Gonzalo Rubalcaba, not Gonzalo Rubalcaba, the guy from the Buena Vista on piano, and Omar Portuondo singing, and all those people who became famous with the Buena Vista Social Club were playing in these clubs, the Tropicana Club and the Sanssouci Club, and me as a little boy was taken by his parents sort of falling asleep at the table, but all this music was going in, all this great dancing and music and fantastic playing, and the beats and the groove were just coming into me,
And you were in Hawaii. Was it before Hawaii became a state? Exactly
when Hawaii became a state.
Okay.
I remember the day and the parade going along just the road next to Waikiki Beach, watching it all.
Yeah. Were you there for a long time, or how long were you in Hawaii?
There for about 10 months, and then we went to Venezuela.
Okay, wow. And was there a lot of music in Hawaii when you were there?
Yeah, lots of... lots of well, I've got the album still, a lot of the grass-skirted girls dance to, and lots of luau's, and it's basically Hawaiian guitar.
Yeah.
And
that's sort of the lap steel sort of. Yeah.
Right. That's why actually the B-side of the second Roxy single is written by me, and it's called Hula Kula, which is like the hula hula dance, which is the great. You get me trying to play a Hawaiian song on the B-side of a Roxy second. With, Brian Eno and Brian Ferry playing kazoos.
Did Brian Ferry have a hard time singing behind you with a high watt?
Yeah, well, we know that loud amps is not good for the vocal mic.
Yeah.
down the vocal mic, and so it's like turn down, turn down. So yeah, there's a whole history of turn down, turn down. That's why in the very last tour I got a speaker in a box and put it off stage. I cannot hold to turn down.
Yeah.
So with it, modern tech and in ears, I can hear what I want to hear.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have that, and the mixer out the front doesn't complain.
And so, what brought you to London? I mean, your father obviously was British, but
I was listening to shortwave radio and listening to the BBC and listening to music coming out of London when I was in Venezuela, in Caracas. I begged my parents to send me to a boarding school in London, and so my brother was there already. Please send me there. I'm age 9.
Wow.
I was still like bit pop music and rock. So I was sent there age 9, and because he worked for an airline, I could go backwards and forwards every holiday back to South Caracas. But I got to London, in September 1960, and I left my school there in 1969. So the whole of the 60s, I was there for the Beatles, the Kinks, the Stones, psychedelia, Pink Floyd, you name it.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. Absolutely big. And I'm not surprised because incredible music was coming out.
Sure.
It's all like wild. We all wanted to form bands and play.
Yeah.
And so, I was lucky that age 16 I met David Gilmore and I met Robert Wyatt. My brother knew David Gilmore up at Cambridge, and my father had died in South America, and I said to my mother, I want to be a pop musician, rock musician, and she was from Barranquilla, Colombia. She's like, what's that? I know cumbia, I know salsa. What's from rock? And my brother said, look, I've got this friend who's just joined a band. Let's go and talk to him. Ask him what you have to do to become a professional musician.
Yeah.
So we went to lunch with David the week he joined Pink Floyd.
Wow.
And we had lunch with him, and then we went back to his apartment. He put his Strat in his case, he got in a taxi and went to Abbey Road to start recording Source Code Secrets.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, I've been friends ever since then.
Yeah.
It's 1967, since January 1967.
Wow.
Yeah. And
when you joined Roxy, you actually joined as the guitar tech initially?
Well, people said that, but I keep saying to Andy and the others, I wasn't a guitar tech. Guitar tech for who? No. What happened was I answered an ad, and I have the ad here. That's the ad that was in the melody.
Right on.
And someone sent me this the other day. And I turned up. They were great guys. I loved them, everything. I failed the audition because, I don't know, I had a terrible cold that day. But we got on really well as people. I kept bumping into them. And the guy they chose was already a named guitarist, Dave O'Lis.
Yeah.
So for 2 months, he was in the band. Then he had been on the famous US tour with early Pink Floyd, Hendrix, Soft Machine, and he got spiked, actually. No. And so he had some mental problems, and after a couple of months, they couldn't hack it with him. And I got a phone call saying, will you come and mix the sound? I had no idea how to mix sound at all. They said, well, Eno will show you, because he makes the band so nervous, we don't allow him on stage. He's the audience mixing the sound. So I said, okay, well, I turned up and they said, oh, well, look, there's a guitar there. Do you want to have a go? And so I did, and I secretly learned all the numbers. So they thought I was a genius. They asked me to join straight away. I couldn't let them know, like, 20 years later, that I knew I'd learned all the numbers. And they thought, oh, he learned them so quickly. He could play them perfectly. How did he do that? And anyway, I joined, I think, on the 4th of February. The contract was signed on the 14th of February. 6 weeks later, we recorded the first album after having played 3 gigs.
Yeah.
And then that was it. It was all 52 years later, here I am.
Yes, exactly.
That's the book.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That's what happened,
Yeah, finally you wrote a book.
Yeah.
And the packages, the large packages are already sold out with all the CDs and everything, or all the discs, I should say. I don't know if they're CDs or not, but you've.
There is a CD, a special CD that goes in the special package. But actually, no, those are available, I think, in from one place somewhere. But this book is self-published. You can't buy it in a bookshop.
Oh, okay, all right.
So it's like cottage industry. I went independent in like 1980. So everything is done en casa, they say. Yeah.
This is a sort of a strange question, but it seems like, were you aware that you're always ahead of your time?
It never occurs to me. I just get on with music. I'm always on to another business. As, to be fair, all the other guys in Roxy still are too. Mm-hmm. I mean, Brian Ferry's got this weird project coming out in a month's time, which I'm delighted about. Andy Mackay and me and Paul Thompson are doing this weird AM/PM thing. Eno's bringing. I just read that he's going and doing some touring.
Wow.
This year. I had no idea. I did see him play. Great, the first time for Donkey's Ears. So all the people, even though we're at this advanced age, we're still doing music and we're still doing things and not trying to have hit singles,
Sure. Do you see the Rolling Stones as sort of like, this, they're out there still doing it? Do you hold them?
I love the Stones, yeah, and I've been to see them lots of times. And I hear that they will be going out again this summer. I'll probably go as well, because it doesn't matter, how many times I hear some of those songs, I still love them. And I don't listen to them normally.
Yeah.
So if they're playing, I will go and see it and I will enjoy the moment. And, music is all about resonance.
Yeah.
Brings back memories.
Sure.
Where you were. I was at Hyde Park with a famous concert, pre-concert, Stones, and just lived through their whole. Music just means so much to me, and I'm a fan, like other people, maybe fans of Roxy and stuff. I'm a fan of bands, and it still excites me. It's crazy, but
yeah. And I guess my question was, they're significantly older than you are, and they're still out there doing it. Does that inspire you to not look back at all, just go forward?
Yeah, I think, people often say musicians, just die on stage and they take them out in a flight case and bury them. So, I'll be happy with that, just to be able to keep playing, provided my hand's all right.
Yeah.
And, 3 days ago I did like 4 Cream numbers with in the Jack Bruce tribute trio with some guys in a little Gibson garage in London. And I had to, I must say, it took me 10 days of practice because I thought the power, you can't hide anywhere.
No.
They expect the soloing to be up to par. But after 10 days of an hour or 2 hours a day, I thought, okay, I acquitted myself. Well, I can still do it, so I'm going out.
Yeah.
I'm going to. I've still got. There's still life in the old dog yet.
And you were inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Does it really mean anything to you? I mean, is that significant to you, or is it just?
Well, you know what? It is, because it's lovely to be part of that sort of club, if you like.
Yeah.
To have got in there. It's not something that we sought after or were thinking about.
Yeah.
It's to suddenly get in and then get there and get to the Barclays Center in Brooklyn and then look around and see, there's Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
There's all these fantastic people. There's, wow. And then see, 18,000 people there. You think, wow, this is a big deal. Wow, I'm so pleased that, we practiced for a week to play, to get in, to play there and everything. So yeah, it was a big deal, and I guess people outside of America don't realize actually what it means.
Yeah.
Because in America there's a lot of Hall of Fames, and it's a tradition.
Yeah.
Whether it's baseball, or basketball, or whatever, and it means something.
Yeah.
So very happy.
And do you still play? Are you still playing nylon string and playing some of the Cuban music or Venezuelan music?
Absolutely, especially to my grandchildren.
Oh, cool.
My latest grandson, Leo, I was playing a thing called Cielito Lindo.
Sure, of course.
Que tienes? And there's a 5-month-old baby, and
wow.
he's loving music. I said, "Yeah, you're going to hear this, mate."
That's fantastic. And anything you do outside of music? You're right there in your garden house. Do you garden?
I take away all the rubbish from my wife. She's the main gardener.
Okay.
I'm the guy who picks up all the rubbish and takes it to the bin. I love swimming and stuff, like doing some exercise and stuff. But actually, I'm sort of busy with music the whole time, which is fine by me.
Yeah. So you swim. I swim as well. Where do you swim? And how cold is it?
Well, it can be very cold here, but I don't like cold because I was brought up. So I will go to a public swimming pool, or I do have an outdoor pool here. Not a big one, but from about May onwards, May till October.
Sure.
I every morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks every morning. Yeah, and I feel ready to come in here.
Yeah. And make music. Very good. It's been an honor to speak with you. I really appreciate this time. So if people want to buy your book, just go to your website?
Well, go to the website. That shows you lots of places. Or come to the Cutting Room in New York on the 21st of March, or Washington, D.C. And I sell the books there.
Okay.
And talk to people.
All right. And are you going to do more dates in the future, like in the U.S.?
We come to the West Coast in October.
Okay, great.
And San Francisco, definitely L.A., maybe in Palm Springs. I don't know where they want me.
Very good. Well, I hope I get an opportunity to meet you in person.
Well, that would be great. I'm hoping to come with AM/PM with Andy Mackay and Paul Thompson, who are our sort of wacky show, Avant Rock, it's called.
Yeah.
Well, because in fact, I noticed in the ad for Roxy, it said the perfect guitarist for Avant Rock group. So, let's start an Avant Rock group again.
Yeah. Very good. Well, thank you very much, Phil.
Okay, lovely. Are you near any wineries anywhere there?
Oh, I'm surrounded by wineries. I live in town, but there's wineries everywhere here.
My son once brought me back a bottle of Fender wine.
Oh yeah, I think that was made by Miner Family Winery.
Really?
Yeah. Cool. Dave Miner is a huge guitar collector. He collects old arch tops. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's good to know.
Yeah. Well, if you come to Napa, I will introduce you to Dave.
Great. Okay, nice one.
Very good. Thank you very much, Phil. Talk to you. Bye bye. Thanks for listening to Have Guitar Will Travel. You can catch up on all the things I'm doing at thedeadlies.com, and I'm on all the social media platforms as well. And please support Vintage Guitar and all the wonderful things they do, because they do many, many wonderful things for us guitar players. Thanks. Please subscribe. Please tell a friend, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.